Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this session we are going to see how to merge two different data tables into a single data table in UiPath Studio. So for that I'm going to use two data tables. So here on the screen, so we have two data tables named as student data table 1 and student data table 2. So now in my student data table I have two records with the names Kevin and Leo. So I just want to merge this data into the student data table 1, so which is having the records which we have previously seen in our previous sessions. So for merging this, so just go to the activities and search for merge activity. So here inside the data table, so we can see merge data table activity. So just drag and drop into your designer panel. Yep. So in the properties panel, if you observe, so we have common field for display name, so that is merge data table. So I'm just not modifying anything here. So in the input session we have fields called destination, missing scheme action, source. So destination is my first data table. So here my first data table is student dt1. So here I'm going to mention the data table name. So this code dt1. Okay, and coming to the source, so from where you want to combine the data, so it means student underscore. So as I want to fetch the data from the data table 2, so that's why I'm mentioning as student data 2 and the source field. So in the same way, so coming to this missing scheme action, so it has certain values: add, ignore, error, add with key. So we'll see what is the purpose of each option. So I'm just keeping it as add as of now. So and for printing the values on my output panel, so I'm just going to use write-line activity. So before that, I'm going to use output data table activity. So this will take the input from the merge data table, so which is student dt1. Okay, so I'm going to mention this as my input underscore dt1. So as we know, so this output data table generate the data in the form of CSV values. So here the output will be in the form of text. So here I am creating one variable with the help of Control K and keeping the variable name as value. Okay. So now for printing this, I'm going to use write-line activity to display my output on the output panel. So here we have, so here I'm mentioning the value, which is the variable from the output data table. So let's run this. So here in the merge data table activity, we have the missing scheme action as add. So let's see what is the behavior of the missing scheme action. So the execution is started now. Yeah. So now we can see the values given 484 and 77 and Leo 1 and 823 are merged under my first data table, which is student underscore dt1. So here in the first rows we have the data related to student data 1, and at the last two rows we have the data from the data table 2, which is student data table underscore 2. So here if you see, so I have the columns which are same just like the data table 1. So if you observe my data table 1 having student name, roll number, marks. So in the same way, I have the columns like student name, roll number, and marks in both the tables. So suppose if I want to add one more column in the data table 2, I'm just adding as grade. So which is of type string, and default value I'm not giving anything here. Click on OK. So now we have column called string. Okay. So I'm keeping this as C, and here I'm keeping it as A. Okay. So now we have grade column in the student data table 2, and now let's use the missing schema action as ignore. Okay. So as we have an extra column here in the data table 2, as my target data table have only 3 columns based on the missing schema action. So the column which is extra in both the columns will get ignored when we use the action as input. Okay. So let's run this and we'll see the output. So now the execution is completed. So if you observe the output, this merge action is confirmed and it is completed. And if you see the column names, so we have only three columns: student name, roll number, and marks. So in the same way, if you use this add action now, this fourth column, which is in the student data table 2, which is grade, will get appended to the data table 1 activity. So let's run this. Okay, so now if you observe this in the output panel, so in my previous iteration, so we don't have the column grade and we don't have any values in the fourth column. Now if you observe the values C and A, which are related to the student data table of 2, with the C and A are displayed in my output panel. So here you can observe this C and A. Okay. So now if you observe another action, which is error. So if you use this activity, so if there is any difference between the columns in the data tables, the UiPath Studio will display an error saying the particular column is missing in one of the tables. So just check. So it displays some error warning messages in the output panel. So let's see now. So the execution is started. If you observe here, target table name missing definition from the column grade. So which is column name grade is missing in the target data table. So if you observe, we don't have any column called grade. So that's why it is showing the errors. Okay. So let's see the remaining activity, which is add with key. So add with key will also function in the same way what we have done with the add. So let's run this again and we'll see the output. So it performed the same activity what we have verified for the add missing schema action. So here also we get the same operation, like adding the columns and adding the records from the other data table. And if you observe this, here we have record with the name Leo with score 823 and roll number 1. In the second data table also we have a record with the name Leo 1 and 823. So just ignore this grade irrespective of the extra columns. Even if we have the duplicate rows, so we are able to match the data. So for removing the duplicate records, so we can keep some identifiers which are like unique or primary key, so which can restrict the data duplication. So that one we will see in the next class. So as of now, so with the help of this missing schema action, can perform the merge operation based on the required columns or required data. We can perform the merge operation in UiPath Studio. I hope you like this video. So please like and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos on UiPath Studio. Thank you.